Hi everyone, Jay here from Jade Productions. This here is a follow-up video to my Imperial Knights codex review. That was last week or the week before. Now they've released some FAQs, a Renegade Knight Index, and some Forge World have finally gotten their shit together and done an FAQ as well. And this video is going to focus on changes of the FAQ, the Renegade Knight Index, and what the changes in the FAQ for the Forge World stuff does mean, what that means for your Forge World Imperial Knight. And that's mostly where we're going to focus. So we'll jump straight into it with the Imperial Knights, with the Imperial Knight FAQ. The first thing gives an example, an amended example about how... it provides an amended example for how the Knight Lances work. Now, it's basically the same thing. The Knight Lances have had a change in terms of have been errated. So the command benefit of each Imperial Knight Super Heavy Detachment is changed to none if it does not contain at least one Imperial Knight Titanic unit, and is changed to +6 command points if it contains at least 3 Knight Titanic units. So there you go. The Sacristan Forge Shrine has had a change to its Ritual of Reloading, and it basically just amends it to, if it does not, or if it has a full complement of Shield Breaker missiles, choose one ranged weapon the vehicle is equipped with, not an heirloom of the noble houses. So mostly what that just changes there with the Sacristan Knight Shrine is that the Ritual of Reloading before, it was choose any weapon, and next time it has the maximum number of shots. It was kind of implied to be ranged weaponry, but it just said any weapon, so I imagine that somehow just escaped proofreading. And that is it. That is literally it for the FAQ. The main important points to take away from the Imperial Knight FAQ is it's ranged weapons only for the Sacristan Forge Shrine. That's what they meant it to be. And the Knight Lances is +6 command points if you've got 3 Titanic Knight units. So, Questoris and Dominus. Things that aren't armigers. The frequently asked questions are, can free blades in super heavy auxiliary detachments have qualities and burdens? And the answer is yes. The House Volca one has there's some clarification on House Volca and how it works with targeting the rerolls 1 for the closest enemy model, and basically it's you only apply the reroll to hit one to the model that's to the closest enemy unit that was closest when you chose the target in the shooting step. So if you're going to shoot your 2 weapons at 2 different targets, the one that is closest when you are selecting your targets is the one you are going to get rerolling against, because they're technically done at the same time. And then the House Raven one is do models with the House Raven Relentless Advanced Tradition suffer penalties to their hit rolls for advancing and firing heavy weapons? The answer is no, because it flat out says so in their own household tradition. Clearly people aren't reading. No, these weapons are treated as assault weapons when such models advance, and these models ignore penalties to their hit rolls for advancing and firing assault weapons. So they become assault weapons. Alright, so no. I don't know why that's a question. That seems pretty stupid obvious. But that is the Imperial Knights straight up. Now, the next thing they've released is this Renegade Knights Index. It's kind of a joke. Poor Imperial Knight traders. But now you can actually have your Imperial Knights back. So, yay. Basically you've got the Renegade Knight, you've got the Renegade Knight Dominus, and you've got the Renegade Knight Armiger. The Renegade Armiger comes with the Armiger autocannons by default, and you can exchange them. The Knight Dominus comes loaded out as the Decimator configuration, and you can replace its stuff with the Valiant. And the Renegade Knight one is still the same. You can just configure that however you want. So, yay. They've got points values in line with the codex. And then they've got some detachment rules, which include the stuff with include a quest or the Renegade Knight lance, which brings them into line with the FAQ change to the Imperial Knights from their FAQ, which is the +6 command points if you have 3 Titanic Knights in your super heavy detachment. You have a Warlord trait, which is the Infernal Quest, gives you a basically gives your Knight OBSEC and makes it count as 10 models for the purposes of OBSEC. You've got a Relic, which gives -1 leadership to enemy units within 12 inches, and then they're within 6 inches, they subtract 2 from their leadership instead. Of all the relics you could possibly copy and paste. Hi. This is kind of a joke, really. And then you've got 2 stratagems, rotate ion shields. I think if you're looking into knights, you could probably know what this one does, but it is the +1 invul. And then you've got Trail of Destruction, which basically it's 2 CP for your Questoris Traitorous unit, so any one of them. When it shoots or fights until the end of the phase, you can reroll all failed hit rolls for this unit. That is it. That is your Renegade Knight Index. It's kind of a joke, but at least now Renegade Knights are back and legitimate. Personally, they should have just said, whatever. So the next thing we're going to focus on here, because that's it for the FAQs and that index, not much to see and do there. We next up have the Forge World Index, which is now around with us. So the first Forge World Index change is that the Questor Imperialis in all of the Forge World Knight datasheets has been changed to Questor Allegiance, with all the Questor Allegiance rules allowing them to go Questor Mechanicus or Imperialis, which means, yes, finally, your Forge World Knights are, work, and you won't just be taking them as Hawkshroud, because now they can actually use the really cool traditions that benefit them. So that's the first change. The second change is that all of the Imperial Knights have had their Super Heavy Walker amended to be in line with the reprinted version in the Imperial Knight Codex, which lets them fall back even over infantry and swarms, which was something they didn't originally have, so you could have things like Rippers and the ever-annoying Nurglings completely surround and prevent knights from walking away. That's gone. That was gone in the Codex, and it's gone now from the Forge World Knights, so they're in line with them. So the Acatus Knight Porphyron, the Ceratus Knight Acheron, the Ceratus Knight Atropos, the Ceratus Knight Castigator, the Ceratus Knight Lancer, the Questoris Knight Megaria, and the Questoris Knight Styrix. Add the Imperial Knights to their faction keyword line and change the Questor Imperialis to read Questor Allegiance. The Acatus Knight Porphyron adds the Acatus class to the keyword line. So it counts as its own specific class, which makes sense. It's very, very different from the other Imperial Knights. So anything that in the Imperial Knights Codex that targets Questor class only will not affect them. I'll run through a little bit of the stuff that affects these guys in a minute, and some of the cool little combinations of things that really benefit the Imperial Knights and the Forge World ones. The Ceratus Knight Acheron, the Ceratus Atropos, and the Ceratus Castigator, and the Ceratus Lancer all have the Ceratus class as well. So, same deal. The Questoris Megaria and the Questoris Styrix have the Questoris class. So they are technically Questoris class, so their stuff will work on them. Good thing for everyone out there that the Styrix is amazing. And then the Reaper Chainsword, and this is a change that clearly I did not pick up when I read the Imperial Knight Codex, is that the Reaper Chainswords have a new strength characteristic of +6 instead of whatever they were before in the Imperial Index 2. So there we have it. So that's bringing them in line. So we're just going to spend the rest of this video, and if that's all you wanted to know, that is completely fine. We're just going to spend the rest of this video going through some of the different Forge World Knights and talking about some of the really cool combinations that you can do with them. Starting with things like the Knight Porphyron and how that things you can do with this. So for those of you who don't know the Knight Porphyron, I will find an image and put it up. It'll be one of the knights. I'll try and put it on when I'm talking about this one. It's very much a shooty knight. It's got a 2 twin Magna Las cannon, 2 auto cannons, and an Iron Storm missile pod. So, you know what auto cannons do? The twin Magna Las cannons, a 72-inch heavy 2d3 strength 12 AP-3, 6 damage. This weapon may not be used to make Overwatch attacks, and it's got 30 wounds and toughness 9. So, it also heals a wound, like most, it heals a wound on a 5+ at the beginning of each of your turns. It has the, unstable reactor. It has an ion shield for 5 up, and it's got the Knight Titan Walker. Now, the first thing that immediately stands out, because this is really just those two twin las cannons, so that's 4d3 strength 12 AP-3 damage 6 shots. You can't use it at Overwatch. That's fine. It has the Iron Storm missile pod and the autocannons for that, which you can change out for more las cannons. You can actually change the autocannons out for more las cannons, and you can change the Iron Storm for a healer's defense missiles. Right away, the tradition that I see that would be really awesome for this one is, of course, the House Volker and the Firestorm. Definitely the House Raven is worth considering, because it lets this be a lot more mobile and let it get into position a lot faster. I mean, it doesn't suffer the penalty for moving and firing heavy weapons, but with the House Raven, you will be able to advance and fire those weapons, which is amazing. But definitely House Volker is one of the better ones, but I definitely am drawn, but because House Volker and how that works with targeting the closest one and rerolling ones, which is nice, especially since at full HP, at full wounds, the Acatus Knight Porphyron actually has a ballistic skill of 2+. With a 72-inch, you're definitely going to be forcing your opponent to make sure, I mean, you'll still be hitting on 2+, so reroll 1s is just a bonus on top of that. And the House Raven is pretty good for just being able to get this really mobile, so that they can't really hide from it. Because 6 damage apiece at strength 12 and 4d3 shots hitting on 2s. That's a pretty amazing knight. Okay, so next we have the Ceratus Knight Acheron. So the Knight Acheron has 27 wounds. It's 14-inch movement, and it's 3+3+ for its weapon skill, ballistic skill at full health. This one has the Acheron Flame Cannon by standard, and a Reaper Chain Fist and an inbuilt twin heavy bolter. So this is more of a melee one. It's very, very fast. Probably one of the better ones for this is definitely one of the Questor Imperialis households, because it favors getting into combat and it favors combat very heavily. Its Acheron Flamer is an 18-inch heavy 2d6, strength 7, AP-2, 3 damage apiece flamer that automatically hits. Sweet. It's got, twin heavy bolter, so it's got 6 heavy bolter shots at strength 5, and then it's got the Reaper Chain Fist, which is strength times... Is the Reaper Chain Fist what they changed? No, that's the Reaper Chain Sword. So it's got its Reaper Chain Fist, which is a completely different thing. So, which is strength times 2, AP-4, it's damage 6 apiece, and it's got the usual thing of -1 to hit. And this goes Titanic Feet. It regains a wound on 5+ at the beginning of your turn. It explodes. it's very, very fast. When making advanced rolls for this model, roll 2d6 to determine the maximum distance it may move. That's its flank speed, and it's got its ion shield. Definitely one of the things that springs to my mind when you want to, for household traditions, is, where is it? Hawk Shroud is definitely good for keeping it alive. Giving it 5 attacks on the charge is also really good for House Griffith. But, when determining the distance the unit with this household tradition advances or charges, roll an additional d6 and discard the lowest. So you can, with the House Terran, you can have your Knight Acheron advance, rolling 3d6 for your advance roll and taking your 2 highest. So it is very, very, very fast with the correct household tradition. The Ceratus Atropos is one of my favorite ones. It's kind of really, really cool. This one's 3s and 3s and 14. So the Ceratus class are all very, very fast knights if you're unfamiliar with their class of knight. It has the Laser Cutter, which is a 9-inch range, heavy 1, strength. It has the Atropos Laser Cutter, which has a shooting profile and a melee profile, and it's got the Graviton Singularity Cannon. Heals, advances 2d6. It has a 4-up invulnerable save against shooting attacks and a 5-up against melee attacks. And it has the Macro Extinction Protocols. You may add 1 to your hit rolls with this model when shooting against targets with the Titanic keyword. It's kind of interesting that it's definitely designed for killing bigger stuff, and it is very much designed for the households such as House Krast when it's fighting. House Krast will definitely improve its melee capability, which is reasonable, but this one definitely wants to be shooting, mostly with the Graviton Singularity Cannon. The Atropos Laser Cutter in its melee profile, in its shooting profile, is 9-inch range, heavy 1, strength 12, AP -4, damage d6, and if an attack with this weapon slays an enemy vehicle or monster in the shooting phase, you may immediately make another attack against a separate target within range. This bonus attack does not generate further attacks. Cool. Slice through a tank. The Atropos Laser Cutter is strength 14, AP -4, damage 6 in melee, and it rerolls failed hit and wound rolls against monsters, buildings, or vehicles. So great for tearing them apart. The Graviton Singularity Cannon, heavy 4, strength 8, AP -3, 3 damage. Roll a d6 each time before this weapon is fired. On a 1, you take a mortal wound. On a 2 to 5, the attack is carried out as normal, and on a 6, the weapon's attacks are instead carried out at strength 16, AP -4, damage 6, instead of its normal profile. It's pretty amazing. Cold Fury definitely strikes me as one of the better ones. House Volker, given the short range of the Graviton Singularity Cannon and the Atropos, although the Singularity Cannon is not too short range, 36 inches, of its Laser Cutter. Relentless Advance from House Raven is a good one. And so is the House Terran for moving that extra, because it is fast, just like the other Ceratus. Of course, Hawk Shroud never hurts. So, yeah, the rest of them not really suited. If it was a bit more. The Castigator is made for mowing down infantry, on the other hand. Same deal as all the other ones. It's got the Ion Shield for 5-up against shooting attacks. It's got the 2d6 advance. It's got the healing. It's got the Castigator Bolt Cannon, 36-inch range, heavy 14, strength 6, AP -2, 2 damage apiece. Tempest Warblade, it's a melee weapon, strength +6, AP -3, damage 5. The result of a 6 is rolled on any wound roll with this weapon against a monster or vehicle, then an additional D3 mortal wounds are also inflicted. The Castigator is actually really one of my favorites. It's really good if you support it well. I definitely think House Volker to get maximum efficiency to try and get those rerolls out of its Castigator Bolt Cannon, to very much improve its accuracy, because you want it's got a lot of shots, and you want those shots to hit because it is only strength 6. Again, House Raven is fantastic again because the Serratus Knights all want to be going fast, and can move really, really fast. Hawk Shroud lets it keep going faster for longer. This one, because of its melee weapon, is not actually that bad. Things like House Cadmus, House Mortan, and House Griffith are pretty good. House Krast is okay. Yeah, actually House Krast is pretty good because his Tempest Warblade, even if you don't roll your 6 to wound, is pretty good. And it'll let you be re-rolling your hit rolls. So you can make advantage, you can get some reliability out of your 4 attacks. But that's against Titanic. I mean, it'll work, but you won't actually activate your monster or vehicle D3 mortal wounds. So probably not the best one, but still a good one if you want to try for that. Definitely the other ones though. The Serratus Knight Lancer is definitely your melee one. It's got its shock. It's the same thing. This one has the Ion Gauntlet shield instead of its standard Ion Cannon, Ion shield. It's got a 5+ invulnerable save, which increases to 4+ in the fight phase of any turn. In addition, enemy units with the Titanic keyword within 1 inches must subtract 1 from their hit rolls when directing their attacks against the Serratus Knight Lancer. This one is definitely good for taking on other Titanic Knights in melee. So House Krast has some use here. It heals, it runs really fast. Typically, the House Terran and the Imperialis ones favor the more melee-orientated knights, and the Knight Lancer is definitely one. Its Shock Blast, which it shoots from its lance, is 18 inches, heavy 6, strength 6, AP -1, D3 damage. Nothing to write home about. Shock Lance is strength +6, AP -4, 6 damage apiece. You may re-roll failed hit rolls with this weapon if the Serratus Knight Lancer has successfully charged in your charge phase. Pair that up with an extra attack from House Griffith, can be pretty good. The re-roll wounds of 1 against things with less than 12 wounds is okay. The House Mortan, not so much. It's already re-rolling to hits. Again, House Raven is pretty good. And not House Raven, House Terran. I always get those knights mixed up. The Questoris Magera. It has a Lightning Cannon, a Phased Plasma Fusel, and a Reaper Chainsword. Yeah. This one's pretty amazing. The Lightning Cannon is... However, this Dirix is better. The Lightning Cannon, heavy 6, 48 inches, strength 7, AP -1, D3 damage. Each time you make a wound roll of 6+ for this weapon, it is resolved with an AP of -3 instead of -1, and damage 3 instead of D3. You want something to reroll wounds to get the most out of that. You're not going to find that, sadly. It's got a 12-inch move, it's tough to say, it's 24-inch wounds. It's a standard Questoris class, but with some interesting weapons. Its Phased Plasma Fusel is its Carapace weapon. 24 inches, Rapid Fire 2, Strength 6, AP -3, 2 damage apiece. It's just... yeah. You can replace... yes. You can replace its Reaper Chainsword with a Hecaton Siege Claw with inbuilt twin Rad Cleanser. Yeah. Yeah. The Hecaton Siege Claw is Strength ×2, AP -4, Damage 6. You subtract 1 from your hit rolls. But it comes with that inbuilt twin Rad Cleanser, which is 9 inches, Assault 2d6, Strength Dash, AP 0, and 3 damage apiece. This weapon hits automatically and always wounds on a 3+, except against Titanic and vehicle units, which it wounds on a 6+. Oh, yeah. yeah, it's pretty good. Now, the best households to take advantage of this are definitely House Volker, and House Raven. And House Hawkshroud, as always, is pretty good. If you really want to use its Hecaton Siege Claw in melee, I suppose you can invest in one of the more melee one of the more melee orientated houses in the Questor Imperialis. Probably not House Krast in the Questor Mechanicus, because it doesn't want to be fighting Titanics with its Hecaton Siege Claw. If you're fighting Titanics, keep it with its Reaper, but if you're keeping the Reaper Chainsword, then why even bother taking this thing? The Questor Styrax. Yeah. So this has the Volkite Cherovile and a Graviton Crusher and a Reaper Chainsword. It too can take a Hecaton Siege Claw with inbuilt twin Rad Cleanser. Yeah. The Graviton Crusher. 18 inches, heavy D3, strength 6, AP -2, 2 damage apiece. If the target unit has an armor save of 3+ or better, then it does 3 damage instead of 2. The Volkite... I'm giving up. The Volkite gun has a 45-inch, heavy 5, strength 8, AP -3, D6 damage. Each time you make a wound roll of 6+ for this weapon, the weapon scores an additional automatic hit at the weapon's normal profile, which is resolved after the initial attacks for this weapon on the same unit. These additional hits do not generate more additional hits. Which is pretty good. Pretty good for what it is. Definitely, once again, given the short range of the Graviton Crusher, which is a really good gun, you could get away with giving it House Raven to let this thing move around a bit more. House Volker, definitely for that reroll 1s. House Tarnus, I haven't really talked about because it's very generic, but is very good. Hawkshroud is very good for it to have, so it can work at its hitting on 3+ profile even longer. Yeah, that's about it. The special things about the Questoris Knight, Styrax, and Megaria is they heal, of course, like the other ones with the Blessed Auto Simulacra. They have the Imperial Pyre-Sight, which units other than vehicles cannot claim the bonus +1 to their save for being in cover. So, yeah. Things will not get cover saves unless they're a vehicle against this. It does explode pretty far, and then they both have their Ionic Flare Shields, which they have 4+ invulnerable saves against shooting attacks, and 5+ against melee attacks. So these are really, really good knights. They are really, really good knights, which you can now take more advantage of, because now a lot more of these will, their stratagems and their relics and their households will take effect, and they now have access to some of the really cool stuff. Things like the Rotate Ion Shields will be able to... is, of course, always useful, and you had access to them before. When Chapter Approved was around. The Noble Sacrifice can be used on the Questoris class ones to make them explode, and they... oh boy. They really to make them explode on 4+, and boy, when they explode, do they hurt. Yeah. You can give them relics. A lot of the relics won't matter. Especially the ones that replace weaponry. They're not going to be much use to you. Thunder Stomps apply to all of them, so that's nice. But these were general ones you had access to. Looking at some of the ones they didn't have access to before and things you can do with them now. Devastating Reach was awesome before. The Chain Sweep, the Death Grip, these are all things you had access to before. You had access to all of the Questor Imperialis ones before, the Valiant Last Stand, the Sally Forth, but now you have access to things such as the more house exclusive ones and the Questor Mechanicus ones. Questor Mechanicus ones Some very good ones. Benevolence of the Machine God to let you get some defense against mortal wounds is now available to you. To be able to just immediately ignore whatever your damage profile is and use your amazing expensive Forge World Knight at its top tier for a turn for 1 CP. Very, very cool to have that. The Slayers of Shadows is very good from House Mortan with a lot of your very impressive guns that you have on those. Order of Companions from House Raven with the re-rolling until the end of your phase with the House Raven model. You reroll all rolls of 1 for that model. That is pretty amazing on your... That is pretty amazing, especially since it also applies to determining number of shots and to wounds. And damage rolls. So, House Raven, as we established, the Household Tradition is very good for being that mobile. But you have very big guns on these Forge World Knights, and that lets you get a lot of out of them. So that's very good. There's some very good... the House Volko one, which until the end of your phase, each unmodified hit roll of 6 counts as 2 attacks, or scores 2 attacks scores 2 hits instead of 1, which is amazing on some of those really high output weapons. I'm immediately thinking of a Castigator right now. So that is awesome. You've got a number of Warlord traits you can get to it. The Landstriders make the Landstrider, the adding 2 to all advance and charge rolls makes the Ceratus Knights much faster. Those things are going to go ridiculously fast now. The Ion Bulwark is not going to be super impressive on some of them. A lot of them have 4-up invulnerable saves. Definitely better on the Ceratus. No, because the Ceratus all have a mixture of invulnerable saves. Definitely on the Akatis Knight Porphyron. That's going to be pretty cool there. The Knight Seneschal, the adding 1 to your attacks characteristic, is amazing. On some of your more close combat orientated ones, like the Acheron, the Lancer, and even the Castigator. The +1 attack is not to be underestimated, especially when you hit like a giant robot. In terms of household things, they are all very much depend on if you want to make one of your Forge World Knights your Warlord, which you probably want to do to make these amazing Knights even better. And they all vary depending on what loadout your Knight has got. Heirlooms, some of them are just not compatible. Definitely things like your Knight save has a your Knight has a save of 2+, is pretty good for the Armor of the Sainted Halo, of the Sainted Ion, sorry. That's, good on any of them. The Castigator, the Styrex, any of the ones that want to go, the Ceratus, who want to go really fast, the Atropos, who needs it, the Porphyron, you can just turn that thing really, really mean. The Porphyron is amazing, but it is going to cost you a lot of points for that amount of firepower. Other ones that go really well with it is the... you can put the banner on the Styges or Magirias to make them objective secured. Some of the ones that can... No, none of them can take that. None of them can take that. Questor Imperialis 1, the Helm of the Nameless Warrior, to add 1 to hit rolls made for the wearer in the attacks in the fight phase. I'm immediately thinking of the Ceratus with the Acheron to get around your Reaper Chain Fist. The Atropos doesn't really benefit from it, but the Castigator lets you... The Castigator, it's not going to help you. It's fixed. It's not a 6+ to get your mortal wounds. It's on a fixed roll of a 6. Yeah, that's not really going to help your... that'll get your Ceratus Knight Lancer hitting on 2+. re-rolling if they charge, which is pretty good, and you can get them an extra attack if you take the right one, so you can get 5 attacks with that. You know, hitting it, oh wow. They will hit, they will hurt, so that's pretty good there. The rest are mostly incompatible, especially the weapon ones. The ones that are specific are okay, depending on what you've got. Again, a lot of them are very restrictive, as with a lot of the knights. They're not super designed to be compatible, but there's a few little cute combinations in there. The House Griffith Marker of the Lance can be really cool on a Knight Lancer. The Mark of the Omnissiah to let you regain even more wounds, so you can put that on a Styrex or a Magiria, and they'll be regaining on a 5+, 1 wound, and then they'll be regaining 1 wound, or if you roll a 6, D3 wounds. So you can make your Questor Knight Magiria with its Lightning Cannon and Rad Cleanser, or the Styrex, preferably the Styrex, very, very deadly, and very not going anywhere. So that's pretty good, and all you got to do is make them Mechanicus, which is very tempting because House Volker and House Raven. Traditions are good, and you can make them even more annoying to get rid of with the 6+ Feel No Pain from the other house. So there's always that. The Helm of the Dominatus can go on them as well, and you can add 1 to hit rolls made by Armature classes. No, that one's not really good. They all very much, definitely. You can put the Angel's Cage on some of these now. A lot of the ones like House Griffith, that which I already mentioned with the Mark of the Lance, the Hunter's Eye, which the enemies don't receive cover bonuses from the Bearer's range attacks, are okay. They all vary quite a lot, and there's a couple of combinations in here. So they all vary. Some are more compatible than others. A lot of them are very much restricted, especially in your relics. They're restricted to what kind of class they are, because the Cerritas and the Porphyron are all separate classes. Yeah, because there's now the Achatus, Cerritas, and the Achatus and Cerritas classes. So a few of them you'll struggle to put on your Porphyron, and many of them you'll struggle to put on your Cerritas, because a lot of them are restricted to Questoris, or Dominus, or Armature in terms of how they work. The Freeblade qualities and burdens are actually really fun to play with, and before, Freeblades would have been the only way I would have brought one of the Forge World Knights. Now it's nice to have, I can fold them in there without, deciding, well, I'm better off going Freeblade. The Freeblade stuff, not really going to talk about it, but they are useful. And, as they are with Standard Knight, so you can just get a really, really cool Freeblade just hanging around there. So, that is it. That is all I'm going to cover in this video. Quick little chat on that. There's plenty of stuff I could talk about, but that is the vast majority of the combinations, things you can do with Forged World Knights. We could go in more depth in Tactica, but that's not why you're here, and that's not what I'm going to do in this video. Mostly because I haven't had a chance to play with enough Knights since this book dropped. So that is it. Thank you very much. This is mostly just a bit of housekeeping to correct the stuff from the previous review that I did, so to lend you a bit more information now that they have actually changed that and correct some of the things I said, mostly about the Forge World Knights. So this has been Jay from Jade Productions. Thank you very much. Join us again next time for our next video, and then coming in a few weeks, we're starting a new campaign, a new mini campaign before we start our new main campaign, and we're also going to be filming and airing the final episode of Warzone Astralis. So be sure to check out our other work like that if you enjoyed this, or you just want to see some, story-driven Warhammer gameplay. Some battle reports. Alright, I'm out. Thanks very much.